Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. And if you're new here, well, that's exactly what I do. Now, we're taking a look at a product that I reviewed some time ago, and it is the Rodecaster Pro. And here it is, fantastic piece of kit. Now, I use it for podcasting. I use it for quite a variety of different purposes. Now, I wanted to see if I could use it as a sound mixer. And here we have on my desk here with me one of my little MacBook Pro. Well, it's not MacBook Pro, just the original MacBook. Quite a high spec little babby MacBook. I've got my Rodecaster Pro, and I've got various other audio pieces of kit, such as my TIAC, I don't know what model it is, X3R open reel tape recorder, and behind the cameras I've got various cassette decks. Now, although the Rodecaster Pro is primarily designed, well, it is designed for podcasting and feeding microphones in, because on the back it's got 4 XLR inputs, and they're designed basically to run 4 microphones into the system, whether it be dynamic microphones, whether it be condenser microphones, or whatever. You can also run into it a mobile phone. If you've got somebody coming onto your podcast who isn't in the studio, you know, somewhere else, and they're phoning in, you can plug in, you know, mobile phone. And it's also got a Bluetooth setting, so you can actually either Bluetooth a microphone or a device that has Bluetooth. So that's, you know, in a sense what the Rodecaster Pro is. Also has a sound pad, which is configurable via the app on the computer. So that's what I bought it for plugging in microphones, doing podcasting, etc. But I wanted to save space on the desk. I normally have either my little baby sound mixer or my big sound mixer for plugging in, such as things like cassette decks, open reel decks, compact disc players, mini disc, you know, DAT recorders, or, you know, DAT players, because my other business is very much involved in transferring old analog formats to digital, whether it be computer files such as MP3, or in the case of video, MP4s, or whether it be, you know, CDs. So, you know, I thought, how can I save space? I've got this device, which is great, that takes inputs in, but can I plug in cassette decks, open reel decks, and the other formats that I just mentioned? And it's designed for not doing that, but it will do it. And this is what I want to show you. It's great. So you can use it as an analog to digital converter. It's a bit loose to say you can use it as a sound mixer, because it hasn't got, well, it's got buried into the menu different parameters for adjusting equalization, sound settings and what have you, but it's not designed as a sound mixer. But I don't want that, because I'm not mixing really. All I'm doing is transferring old analog tapes to digital. So I don't need to mix them. I don't need to set equalization and bias settings, because that's already been done with the original recording. I just literally need a way of transferring them to digital without taking up extra space on my desk. So I'm going to show you how you can do that using the Rodecaster Pro. First of all, obviously, you've got to plug your kit into the device. And it is only XLR input. There's no 3/4 inch jacks, phono inputs or anything of that nature. So they have got to go into the mic inputs. But this is where the magic begins. What you then do is select your channel. So I, for example, got my cassette deck going into channels 1 and 2. So left channel, right channel. I tend to use the left channel on the left, kind of obvious really, and the right channel's on the right, hence the reason I've got it color coded, the red being right and the black being left. And then you choose a channel, and basically you just set your levels. Let's start playing the cassette. Now I've got the levels down on the cassette. Obviously I don't want to infringe any copyright infringements on YouTube, so you can see the levels are coming through on my laptop. I'll explain what I've done with that in just a moment, but what you need to do, because it's a line level coming into the device, i.e. the Rodecaster, you need to make sure the level's set right down to 0, and then you'll get a nice clean level coming out of the you get a nice clean level coming out of your Rodecaster, and you can check the levels just by turning the master output up and down here. And you can either check, I've got speakers, but I'm not going to turn the volume up on the speakers for obvious reasons. And that is a nice clean signal. It's a nice clean line level signal that's coming through. So once you've got that set on channel 1, you then just set it up on channel 2. Again, get the level down to 0 on channel 2. And the same if you've got something else plugged into 3 or 4, or 3 and 4. I've got my TAC-X 3R plugged into 3 and 4. So again, I would just make sure those are set. At the moment, that's set to 22, you see. So I would just turn that down to 0, tap that right the way down to 0. And then that will now give me a line level on channel 3. And the same again on channel 4. Take that right down to 0. And then if you do plug microphones in, which you will do obviously, because that's what, you know, I use it for, just make sure the levels are back up again. And then we have really nice sound coming through on 4 channels. So it'll either take 4 mono inputs or 2 stereo inputs. So it's a great way of, you know, utilizing one piece of kit to save space on my desk. And you may well find that useful, you know, where you are possibly, I don't know. I mean, what I then do, it's great actually, because you can either record directly to the Rodecaster, which is what it's doing. And that's what I love about it as well. Just one record button, so big, it's bright, you know that's recording. So I don't even need a computer. We can actually move the computer away altogether and just record directly to the Rodecaster. I tend not to do that, and I'll explain why in just a second. So you take a USB out from your Rodecaster into your computer, be it a Mac or PC. I'm using Macs, as you can see. I've got Amadeus Pro loaded up, and set all the parameters in Amadeus Pro or whatever audio program you're using. Easy enough to do. The only thing you need to check is in settings, and it will vary from computer to computer how you check that. Just make sure that the input, sound input, is coming through the USB port as it's showing there. That's the output actually, and the input is coming through on USB. Now the interesting thing is, I noticed the other day actually, on USB input it's got Rodecaster multi-channel or Rodecaster stereo. So on multi-channel, I assume, and I haven't played with this, it will recognise all 4 separate inputs as opposed to, you know, a stereo output. I'm simply taking the stereo output because all I want to do is create a digital file of this analog recording. As simple as that. And then you just hit record on whatever software you're using, and that'll record that to the computer and or the Rodecaster Pro. So you know, great way. I think it's a great way of saving space. The controls are very tactile, they're lovely, they really are good. You don't need the sound pad obviously for this. And then if you do want to plug speakers in, you can plug speakers into your main output, and then you will get the sound come through you know, the speakers using the master output control here. That doesn't affect recording whatsoever. Again, as I've always loved about the Rodecaster Pro is the lovely display that comes up here. You can clearly see, you know, what it is doing. Everything is really tactile and really good. So you know, that is awesome. Now let me just stop that a second, we don't need that. So with an audio cassette, you might want to save one file as side A and another file as side B. It's a bit awkward recording directly to the Rodecaster and numbering the files, because it just comes up with podcast 1, podcast 2, etc, etc. Where if you transfer it to the computer, I can now save this or whatever I want. I can call it whatever I want to call it. So that tends to be my preferred method of doing it, is recording directly to a computer. Although there's nothing to stop you from doing both, obviously. So if you do want to back up on the Rodecaster, maybe your computer's battery will die if you're running off battery, or the connection will die between the Rodecaster and the laptop, or PC, or workstation, whatever you happen to be using. So yeah, it's a brilliant piece of kit, and a very useful way of saving space on your desk if you've got limited space. So there we go. That's just a very quick idea on how what other uses you can put your Rodecaster to, in addition to podcasting. There will be a link up here somewhere on my initial review of a Rodecaster Pro, because I do think it's a brilliant piece of kit. So take a look at that if you're interested in podcasting. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you find my channel useful. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Really appreciate that. Helps me grow the channel. And I do read every comment that people leave and people make. And I really appreciate people making comments on my videos. I'm getting some really good feedback now. So that's also most appreciated. So thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos relating to video and photography and some audio, which we're doing here. So thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.